Trump wants Canada. He wants to make it US's 51st state. Or I should say, since Canada already has 10 provinces, Trump wants to add all of them to USA, increasing the number of states from 50 to 60 and changing the 50 star on the flag to 60. Trump is calling Trudeau the governor of Canada and referring to Canada-US border as an artificial line. He is addressing Canadians, claiming that this move will lower their taxes by 60%. He has repeated the Canada case not only on Truth Social but also in speech at World Economic Forum on January 23, 2025, making his intentions serious and clear. So what is this whole issue? Trump and Trudeau never got along well. Trump is a no-nonsense, right-wing president of USA, while Trudeau is a woke left-wing and at times a bit pretentious ex-prime minister of Canada. During Trump's first term, his White House officials called Trump a backstabber. After Trump's victory, Trudeau visited him at Mar-a-Lago Estate in Florida on November 30, 2024 to congratulate him and gauge the direction of the new government. During his election campaign, Trump had called for 25% tariff on Canadian products, citing an unfavorable trade imbalance. Following their meeting, Trump posted about a productive meeting with Trudeau and all seemed well. However, details later emerged that when Trudeau mentioned the 25% tariff would wreak havoc on Canada's economy, Trump responded by saying that if Canada couldn't survive without ripping off the USA by hundreds of billions of dollars through trade imbalance, then Canada should become the 51st state of USA, with Trudeau as its governor. As this news gained traction in USA, Trump posted about it on Truth Social. On December 10th, he referred to Trudeau as the governor of Canada and called Canada the great state of the USA. He continued to repeat the same statements multiple times on social media. However, he reiterated these claims in his speech at World Economic Forum on January 23, 2025, hinting at seriousness of his intentions. There have been a few instances in history when US President considered annexing Canada into USA. Both USA and Canada were once British colonies. The US gained independence in 1776, while Canada achieved full independence from Britain on July 1, 1982. Canada, however, became the Dominion of Canada in 1867 and gradually gained independence step by step in 1926, 1947 and finally in 1982. During the Revolutionary War of Independence in 1775, American General Richard Montgomery and Benedict Arnold invaded Quebec in an attempt to bring Canada into the rebellion against British rule, hoping that French-speaking Canadians would join the 13 colonies in their fight for independence. The combined forces attacked Quebec City on December 31, 1775 during snowstorm. However, the assault failed. Montgomery was killed, Arnold was wounded, and the American forces eventually retreated, abandoning their hope of Canadian support. Later in June 1812, the USA declared war on Britain due to maritime disputes and British interference with American trade. A land invasion of Canada was proposed as the most advantageous way to attack British Empire. However, the American invasions were defeated primarily by British regulars with the support from Native American and Upper Canada militia. Though American forces captured and burned parts of York, now Toronto, later withdrew. The war concluded with Treaty of Ghent in 1840, restoring pre-war boundaries and resulting in no territorial gains for US. During the 19th century westward expansion, the belief that USA was destined to expand across North America led some politicians and citizens to advocate for the annexation of Canada, but nothing came of it. During the American Civil War, Americans were angered by the perceived British support for the Confederacy. Some leaders demanded a huge payment of $2 billion, arguing that British involvement had lengthened the war by 2 years. This became known as Alabama Claims. When American Secretary of State William H. Seward negotiated the Alaska Purchase with Russia in 1867, he intended it as the first step in a comprehensive plan to gain control of the entire Pacific coast, primarily for its commercial advantage to the US. Seward expected British Columbia to seek annexation to the US and believed Britain might accept this in exchange for settling the Alabama claims. Soon other elements endorsed annexation, planning to incorporate British Columbia, the Red River Colony, Manitoba, and Nova Scotia in exchange for dropping the damaged claims. However, international arbitration in 1872 rejected the American claims for extensive damages. Instead, Britain was ordered to pay $15.5 million only for damages caused by British-built Confederate ships. Britain paid, and the episode concluded with peaceful relations. A major episode that strained US-Canadian relations was the Fenian Raids from 1866 to 1871. A group of Irish-American veterans from the Civil War sought to pressure Britain into granting Ireland independence by attacking British interests. The Fenians launched small-scale incursions into Canadian territory, but the raids were largely unsuccessful. There were some historical incidents where the US claimed or sought partial or full control of Canadian territory. After nearly a century, Trump has brought this topic back more seriously and concretely. The US-Canada share the second longest border in the world, stretching 8,891 kilometers. Most of the border remains undefended. Both Americans and Canadians have generally ranked each other as one of their respective favorite nations. Canada has 45 billion trade surplus with US, with its major export items being crude oil and fuel. Canada is a key supplier of energy to US. Exports to the US account for approximately 75 to 76% of Canada's total exports, highlighting the Canadian economy's heavy dependency on the US. Canada, the US, and the Mexico were previously part of NAFTA and are now member of Canada-United States-Mexico Agreement, CUSMA, which facilitates trade and economic cooperation among the three countries. Established in 1958, NORAD is a binational organization between Canada and US that provides aerospace warning, air sovereignty, and the protection for North America. Both nations collaborate extensively on safety and security, sharing intelligence under the Five Eyes Treaty. The US, Canada, and Finland have formed an ice pact to develop a fleet of polar icebreakers, aiming to project influence and ensure stability in the Arctic region. Canada is a NATO member, and US has often urged Canada to increase its military budget to meet NATO's guideline of 2% of GDP. This has led to perception that Canada relies on US military capabilities. Approximately 400,000 people cross the US-Canada border daily for various reasons, including work, tourism, and other activities. US residents account for about 77.9% of total tourism spending in Canada, contributing around $12.9 billion. Canada is a top import partner for 14 out of 50 US states. All of this underscores the close relationship between US and Canada, while also highlighting how one-sided the relationship is. Trump has pointed out many of these discrepancies multiple times, often inflating them, but the point remains that they are valid. He has suggested that, given the Canada's level of dependency on the US, it would be better for Canada to merge with US. On many levels, the USA surpasses Canada in terms of economic opportunities, taxes, income levels, education, quality of life, and security. In recent times, the unguarded US-Canada border has led to increase in illegal migration into US, primarily from India. Migrants are reportedly paying between $5,000 to $20,000 to be smuggled in US. Additionally, drug smuggling from Canada into US has increased significantly, becoming a major issue. According to Trump, many of these problems would be resolved if Canada were integrated into US. The potential benefit of such integration are numerous. The combined nation would become the largest in the world by land area. Its economy would reach $26.92 trillion, making it the largest globally. The US would gain access to the largest supply of crude oil, making it the most resource-rich nation in the world. Much of Canada's vast, unsettled, and unused land could be utilized for investment and infrastructure development. The combined military would be one of the largest and most powerful in the world, allowing the US to exert greater influence in Arctic geopolitics by expanding its northern border. Trade would become easier with unified currency and the removal of borders, further boosting the economy. The global influence of US would reach unprecedented level, and the country's energy security would be met internally. However, there are significant drawbacks to this integration. Canada's sovereignty and cultural identity would be lost. The inclusion could send shockwaves through Canada's resource-dependent economy, as the currency shift might disrupt local economic stability. The Quebec region, which has distinct French-speaking identity and autonomy, could see its cultural heritage threatened by the overwhelming American influence. Canada has a long-standing ideology of multiculturalism and often takes pride in being distinct from US. While Canadians generally favor close ties with America, they often disagree with American policies and stances. Despite acknowledging the greater job opportunities in the US, most Canadians would still prefer to remain in their country. Many fear the potential Americanization of Canada, which could erode their unique national identity. Ultimately, while there are many potential benefits of Canada joining the US, the majority of Canadians are likely to oppose such move. Now we need to see how Trump proceeds with making Canada the 51st state and how he convinces Canadians. Does he use force, which might make the US an expansionist, an aggressor, or does the US use other weapons like trade, tariffs, and borders? Also, we need to determine how serious Trump is about making Canada the 51st state, or if it is just a tactic to make Canada buy more American products and invest more in America.